We're going to see rents very rapidly rise. Rents have doubled over the past 10 years. That's going to now accelerate. That's deliberate government policy. You shouldn't believe it when they say none of this will happen until 2032, 6 years after 2026. That's not the case, because any tenancies that come to an end after March 1st, 2026, as long as they're not no-fault evictions, will be then subject to the new rule, so that they will be reset immediately to so-called market rate. Over half of all the tenancies in this country are less than 2 years, right? So you have a big churn in the rental market, and very, very quickly we're going to see big increases in rents. We're going to see increases in property prices, and we're going to find young people who are currently paying loads on rent are going to be paying more on rent, and then faced with property prices that are going up. We're going to have an increase in homelessness, because people are going to get to a point at the end of their 6-year tenancy, or when they move because they have a kid or whatever, and they're simply not able to afford the new rent.
Might we also ultimately have an increase in supply?
I don't see the evidence for that. Certainly in the short term, we're going to have an increase in vacancy, because if you're a landlord sitting on a property that is currently vacant, you're not going to rent it out now under the existing regime of tenancies of unlimited duration, where you're going to be capped by 2% for as long as the person stays. You're going to wait until the 1st of March 2026. You're also going to create an incentive for landlords to be bad landlords, right? To have constructive evictions. Every time that your tenant voluntarily leaves, you get to reset the rent to the market rate. You get to hike it up again. So this is a disaster. It really is. Under the guise of expanding the rent protection zones, in reality, they are being gutted, and people will be faced with, if they're in these, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, and then a massive hike that will be unaffordable. This is the reason that Raise the Roof is organising a major protest next Tuesday at 6 o'clock outside the Dáil, because we have a government made up of landlords, which represents landlords, that wants rents to increase. You won't come out and say it, but that is government policy, to want rents to increase. And the only way we'll stop them is if there's much more renters, there's much more young people who are locked out of being able to afford to rent, being able to afford to buy. We need to be on the streets to stop this government.